Happy New Year! Or depending when you're watching this, Happy New Year! I'm excited today, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, it's New Year's Eve, and New Year's Eve is in and of itself a very exciting time of year, but this year, am going to start a new PTCG radio tradition. Does mean I'm going to have to keep this channel going for a few years yet, but I think I can manage that. We are going to do the Pokemon Trading Card Game 2017 Awards. It sounds like a lot of fun. It was suggested by one of my Twitter followers, I believe ADVGYM, I'm sorry if I'm incorrect, but we're going to look at the best and the worst of 2017 in the Pokemon Trading Card Game. Now, we are going by calendar year, not by season. That means that this year we have seen the introduction. To be honest, it's just been the Sun and Moon sets. We've had Sun and Moon, which was our February set. We had Guardians Rising, which was our May set. We saw Burning Shadows come in as our August set and be legal for the very first time at the World Championships, and then Crimson Invasion came in as our November set, which was legal for the very first time at the London International Championships, where I was fortunate enough to be asked to come and host and commentate with a whole bunch of other lovely people. It was wonderful. So let's start off with some negatives. The weirdest deck that did well in a tournament this year, I am going with Yoshi Xurkitree Wishy-Washy Celesteela deck, which took 11th place at the very recent Memphis Regional Championships. I'll pop a link in the description to a video that goes all through that. It was a weird blocking deck that played very little energy, and I suppose I should mention Hooper as well, which was a fairly integral part of that deck. Nobody saw it coming. It was a lot of fun. Biggest flash in the pan, I'm giving to Garboda from Guardians Rising. In Seattle, right after Guardians Rising was released, it was 3/4 of the top 32, and it was 3/4 of the top 8. Flash forward to the London International Championships, and the highest it actually got, I'm talking about the main list here with Espeon and Drampa, which was the list that did so well in Seattle. It managed 37th at the best. The worst card reveal this year, and I went a bit back and forth on this one. I almost gave it to Primarina from Sun and Moon, but I'm giving it to Bruxish from Burning Shadows. Confusion for 1 energy doesn't really do very much, it's just confusion. It's not Espeon that can confuse while doing damage. And then for 3 energy, 60 damage, which isn't good. Plus 20 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon that share a type with your opponent's active Pokemon. I don't get it, ladies and gentlemen. It just seems really awkward, over the top. And even if there are cards which are technically worse than it, it's just kind of the, hey, you can do bench damage, but only to Pokemon that are of the same type as the active. No, it's too convoluted and annoying. I'm calling it the worst card of the year. And the worst GX, and the fun thing is that every GX is up for grabs because, well, this is a year that gave us the Sun and Moon block. Machamp GX. There's nothing particularly offensive about Machamp per se, but all the attacks are just a bit expensive, and it's a stage 2, and we don't have any good fighting energy acceleration. So that was part 1 of our award show, where we looked at the worst. Part 2 is a lot of categories looking at the best, but the littler categories. Kind of like best sound editing at the Oscars. Best stadium, and yes, I did sit down and spend a couple hours looking through every card revealed this year. Best stadium, as far as I'm concerned, Brooklet Hill. Search your deck for any basic water or fighting Pokemon, pop it straight onto your bench. This gives such consistency to any fighting or water Pokemon. We've seen it played with everything from Buzzwole to Alolan Ninetales. I think it is, hands down, and I feel confident about this, best stadium of the year. Best supporter release this year has got to be Guzma. Guzma gets played in every single deck. In many decks, it's a 4 of. These supporters, which have allowed us to drag a Pokemon from the bench into the active, have always been good. Guzma was released right as Lysander rotated, and I think there is little argument. Now, Ace Roller really is a runner-up here. It's an amazing supporter, but it's not Guzma. Best Pokemon Tool card, again, I don't think there was a particularly difficult choice here. Get it? It's Choice Band! Choice Band is just this ridiculous card that does 30 more to EXs or GXs. It sees play in every deck, often as a 3 or a 4 of. I don't think there's any argument. Similarly, best item card, Field Blower. Now this is fun because of course Field Blower is used to get rid of tools like Choice Band, but it's also used to get rid of Floatstone to stop people retreating. It's the tool that means that Garbodor doesn't just run rampant turning off abilities, and of course it gets rid of stadiums like Parallel City. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the best item card and I don't think it's particularly close. Although the next two categories did stop me to pause for thought a little bit. Best Uncommon, I went back and forth on this, but I think over the course of the year I'm going to give it to Sudowoodo from Guardians Rising and its amazing roadblock ability that prevents your opponent from having more than 4 benched Pokemon. In the early part of the season it was pretty good against Mega Rayquaza, and then as time wore on we saw it see play against stuff like Zoroark and all sorts of Pokemon. I did consider giving this to Venusaur from Shining Legends, and I think when we look back this one might have been a mistake because of Venusaur, and similarly I am a huge fan of Persimmon, but Persimmon kinda did well and dropped off the map, so I didn't feel comfortable giving it the award. And finally for this section, before we get to the big boys, best common card released this year has to be Alolan Vulpix. Beacon for 0 energy allows you to search for 2 Pokemon and put them into your hand. You can use this with Bridget and then use your energy attachment for the turn to retreat whatever you started with because Alolan Vulpix attacks for 0 energy. This was very, very close between Alolan Vulpix and Energy Evolution Eevee, and again we might look back on this and go, Ross, come on. Eevee was so much better, but I'm giving it to Alolan Vulpix. And then we get to the big boys. Best Player of the Year, Torreklev. He won the Indianapolis International Championships over in the US. He then got a top 32 finish at Worlds. He got a top 32 finish at the Oceanic International Championships, and then he became the only master to win 2 international championships when he went and won London in November. That is a year, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't think can be topped. Obviously, Diego Casaraga won the World Championships, but I still think overall Tort had a better calendar year 2017. Arguments in the comments like always. Best deck in Expanded, no question as far as I'm concerned. It's Night March. And I know it's been a long time and I'm still saying Night March. The last 4 big tournaments in Expanded. San Jose, it won. Daytona, it came 3rd. Bilbao, it came 3rd. Fort Wayne, it won. It is hands down the best deck in Expanded. Now in Standard, I'm not 100% sure, but I am going for Gardevoir. Now my fallback answer here is of course that it won the World Championships. But even since then, although it's not been quite as good, it got 9th in Memphis, it got 3rd in Turin, it got 3rd in the International Championships in London. It might not have been winning tournaments in the latter part of the season like it was around Burning Shadow's release, when for a quarter of the year it was hands down the best deck. But you know what? It won Worlds and it's still hanging on quite nicely. The best attacking non-GX has to go to Garbodor. Trasher Lance for a single energy doing 20 damage for each item in your opponent's discard pile. Yeah, this deck has not been quite as good as the season's worn on, but in terms of attacking non-GXs, nothing that's been released in this calendar year comes close to Garbodor. In terms of the best supporting GX, this is another category that really gave me pause, but in the end, it goes to Oranguru and its ridiculous instructability that allows you to draw until you've got 3 cards in your hand. Turn 1 Bridget's been great for it. It's been teched into a bunch of decks. I feel confident calling it the best attacking non-GX. Alolan Muck, I think, will be fantastic, though it's not proven it yet. And Vikavolt has been great so far, and probably will get even better in the future, but I don't think anything can match Oranguru. And then we get to the big 3 awards of the evening, or morning, or afternoon. I don't know when you're watching this or what time zone you're in. Best Attacking GX, Gardevoir. I came very, very close to giving this to Golisopod, but I think as an attacker, Infinite Force is just too good. 30 damage for every energy attached to both active Pokemon, and you've got Secret Spring to get more energy on there, and it can abuse double colorless energy, and it can KO anything. It's just that darned good. Now, the ending of this video is going to be controversial. Get in the comment section for the arguments. I am giving best supporting GX to Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele attacks here and there, but it's not really an attacker. It is a supporting card, so I am giving it best supporting GX. That, of course, should not be particularly controversial. But it means that the coveted best card released this year is not going to Tapu Lele. It's going to, insert your own drum roll here, Zoroark GX. Now, I know Zoroark is no Tapu Lele in terms of support, but the tradability is absolutely phenomenal. Discard a card from your hand and draw 2. It won the London International Championships right after being released. It's really, really good with Skyfield in the expanded format, because the attack for just a double colorless does 20 damage for each Pokemon you've got in play. It's great in standard, it's great in expanded, and it's seeing play just for the tradability in a bunch of decks. In both the standard and expanded format, people have started playing decks with Lycanroc and with Buzzwole just to counter Zoroark GX, and I think this is only going to carry on as we go further. Yes, Tapu Lele's amazing. Yes, Tapu Lele goes into every deck, but if we look at an all-around Pokemon for both attacking and playing a supporting role in decks, I think the best one released this calendar year was Zoroark. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, if ever there was a video where we needed the comment section to go nuts while being nice, it's this one. Tell me what you would have chosen for all of these categories. Tell me if there's any categories where you really disagree. And of course, suggest other categories that I could have done and could do next year. If you suggest categories, I will try and make sure that I give you my answer for each of those categories in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, you can do so by going to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next year. Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. PTCG Radio is going nowhere. I'll be back tomorrow, but I'm still a little bit childish, so I'd rather say I'll see you next year. Have a lovely, safe, enjoyable, happy time this evening. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and for the final time in 2017, you've been watching PTCG Radio.